Hey guys, good morning, Creator Mom. Happy Sunday. So, I've got a bit of poison ivy under my eyes and kind of on top of my eyes. That's just mascara. But yeah, around my lips too. Um, I was petting a cat, and I'm pretty sure that's kind of like how I got it. Anyways, besides the point, I was thinking today about how I was processing something that I did that I felt like was wrong or mean. And I was like, where did this come from? What was the root of this behavior? Because you ever just say something mean and you're just like, immediately you're like, oh my God, why did I say that? It's just like instant regret. And, cause it kind of like hurt the other person a little bit. And you're like, oh no, no, no. Oh, like, I take that back. No, I'm so sorry. I was so rude. Like, I should not have said that. I'm so sorry. But it's just like, no matter how much you kind of apologize, you still feel that guilt, you're just like, shit, because you just know that if you just would have never said that would have been the most ideal, like, fuck saying it and apologizing. That's, like, just so filled with regret. So anyways, I was sitting here thinking about it, and I was like, where did that come from? Why did I say that? It came from a mean part of me, a critical. It was like the inner critic. It just, But I did realize, I was like, this came from fear and shame. Fear of what like other people would think. Oh, and mostly fear of being accused, right? Being wrongly accused. That's where I realized that this mean statement came from. And then I thought, yes, that makes sense. And how many times do people do things or say things to others that are hurtful, not even because of their own personal opinions, but because the opinions and thoughts of others' accusations fill their heart? Or, you know what I mean? Like, it's not even that they care to say that to you. It's kind of like being in school. Like, you care about being cool, right? So it's like you have to do what the cool kids want you to say and do. And if that's being mean or saying something snotty to like a geek, right? Or to a less popular kid, even though your inner self knows like, dang, what I just said to that kid was like wrong. Like, I call them a dork. My cool friends liked it, and they're like, yeah, that's right. Cool, that's cool. Yeah, they're dorks. But then you're like, your inner true core self is like, oh, you're like, oh man, I feel so bad for treating that person like that or saying that to that person. But it's almost a little bit better than dealing with the shame, the fear of being accused by the cool gang, right? Because the cool gang, if you didn't like, act like that towards like the dorky kid, the cool kid would be like, oh, what's wrong with you? Like, you like that person? Like, you agree with that? Or like, you have to act like the cool people, if you don't want them to accuse you of being one of them or whatever, even though it hurts you and it hurts the person on the other side. But the fear of being accused and the shame of that is just too strong, unless you realize it and say, okay, this is where this is coming from. I have to deal with the fear of man. I have to deal with the fear of being accused by others that I'm not being good enough and then I'm not doing good enough. Because if I don't, this fear and shame inside of me of what other people think and how they're going to accuse me of this or that is going to fuel my behavior And I'm going to be mean more so than I'd like to, more so than even really truly aligns with my own personal core values, right? Because that part has to keep me safe. And if that means hurting the other person in order to keep me safe from these people back there, then that's what I got to do. I mean, that's probably the logic of the part. It's the part that sides with the cool people, you know, with the other people. It's trying to protect you. It's trying to protect you, but it's not. It needs to be dealt with. So again, realizing this, gaining more self-confidence in what we are doing. Say you're walking. Oh God, I want to use this one example, but it would be medical misinformation maybe on YouTube. Okay. Let's say it could be anything because our society is full of this type of stuff. All right? Like, I mean, let's just use schooling as an example. You know, say your really true inner self says homeschool. You should homeschool your kids. Even furthermore, unschool, right? Which is even more like a fucking wild concept to standard conventional society. But you have a desire to homeschool, but you're afraid. You're definitely afraid of the accusations of your family members. Oh my God, what are they going to say? What is your narcissistic mother going to say? She's going to say, oh my God, you're a terrible mother. How are you going to not give your kids an education like I offered you? Wow, you're awful. You have to face those accusations. Or you can act out of alignment with your true self and do something potentially harmful for your kid. I'm not saying public school is harmful for all kids or whatever. I'm not making that blanket judgment. But you personally, if you're called to homeschool your kid for whatever reason, your spirit, you know, or God knows, but you choose otherwise because of that fear of accusation, you know, you got to get with the cool gang, the cool guys, and do something out of alignment with yourself or harmful to another person in order to keep yourself safe from these people, you know, instead of just walking through it and knowing and trusting yourself that, you know what, I got this. If shit hits the fan and worse comes to worse and these people come against me, then so be it. Like, I can do it. We can go through it. You know, it's hard. So yeah, I mean, I think that this example can be used for like anything. How many times have we acted out of coercion and pressure and done something, you know, in parenting that we know didn't align with our own values and how we wanted to be with our kids or treat our kids? Because we feared the family, you know, we feared other people, we feared authorities or whatever, you know. So yeah, that's the route that I came to. So I intend that I heal, you know, and deal with the fear of being accused of being, you know, someone who I'm not, you know what I'm saying? And I was reading Jay Reed's blog, and he goes, people who are raised by narcissistic parents are no strangers to being called selfish. You were accused a lot as a kid and growing up that you were selfish. You are selfish. You are fucking selfish. So, of course, you know, you got that sitting in the back, even though if you don't think about it consciously, and even though you don't even consciously agree with that. Like, you tried to fight it as a kid, but it was just like put in your programming so much that you're selfish, that you are a bad person, that you are not good enough. So you constantly feel like you have to fight against that or whatever. But yeah, it's really helpful coming to the root cause of certain mean behaviors. And those people don't even have to be there in order for you to act in these ways. They're in your mind. They're in your head. They're in your heart. They're in these imaginary situations that might happen that are fueling this fear and then fueling the mean behavior. Not even real. It's in your head, or based off past, or maybe it is, real, like for certain people, like if your family members are they're imminent threats, they're right there. Maybe you live with them. So yeah, that is living under constant judgment. So living under constant judgment. Then another example I was thinking about was like religion, and Pharisees and the way that they treated people. Why? I mean, hey, maybe some of these people acted within their true self. Like, maybe that's the way they wanted to act towards people, but mostly it's because of the information we're fed. And this can, because those Pharisees, like, say the lower ones, I don't even know, like the lower religious people, they're going to treat other like sinners or other people like really bad. Not necessarily because they're true core self, but because they're more afraid of the judgment that they're going to receive from the higher ups if they don't act like that towards people. So I think that this behavior is common, and it's just like self-preserving in a way, So it's kind of like, well, who's going to get hurt, like me or you? Well, I'm going to choose myself, right? It's kind of like I'm going to choose myself type of thing. I guess that's why living in this world does take an element of courage and bravery, because you see this, I overcooked my dog's food again. I hate that. Turn it off. Yeah, you do see this element everywhere. I mean, just look at 2020, How many, being kicked out of places for not wearing a mask, This is the name of the game, and this is what we're this is what we are coming out of, I think, when we're spiritually called, when we're walking with God. And I think that this could be the scary part about walking with God, walking with your true self, is that you're going to be walking against the grain. And I don't necessarily mean that to say that it's going to be like hard physically or hard labor or something, but it's just like this picture of just like walking, like all the grain is facing this way, but you're kind of like walking that way, sometimes with some things. I'm not saying with everything, but I understand why people live more conventional, if you will, conventional lives, because, well, I'm not even going to assume that on behalf of other people, because sometimes other people just aren't really aware, and they just think that this is the way they have to live. So I ain't going to judge them and say, well, they just want to stay comfortable. Maybe that's not even it, People live how they want to live, so that's not my business. But, yeah, like, with the whole COVID thing, like being kicked out of places, people being mean to you. They would have never been mean to you any other day. People need a certain ideology and a certain propaganda in order to like act in certain ways towards other people. And this is what propaganda is good for. Because they know that it's easy for us to succumb when the pressure is on and other people are going to hate you and accuse you for not walking in the ways that the propaganda or the ideology says. So anyways, yeah. So my whole thing is growing in that true self, growing in my own values, and fucking really strengthening that muscle. All right, everyone. Have a great Sunday.